Good day. We're the group We Own Singapore, composed of Chan, Jalandoni, Sayarot, and Uy, and we're here today to present to you our thesis, A Family Affair, a quantitative analysis on third-generation successors and tensions to continue the family business. Here's an outline of what we are going to discuss today. Here's a brief background of our study. Family businesses are globally relevant socially and economically as they encompass two-thirds of businesses around the world. This in fact generates an estimated amount of 70 to 90% of global gross development product GDP in the world. In 2012 alone, 50 to 80% of jobs worldwide were created by family businesses. Despite this, research shows that only 40% of family businesses survive to the second generation, only 13% continue to the third generation, while only 3% survive until the fourth generation and beyond. Given this, the study sought to answer the following questions. First, what is the significance and extent of the effect of perceived parental support and psychological control on third-generation successors' engagement in family firms? Second, what is the significance and extent of the effect of family business self-efficacy and commitment to family business on third-generation successors' engagement in family firms? This study aimed to achieve the following objectives. First, to test the theory of Garcia et al. 2018 in the context of third-generation successors. Second, to determine the mediating effect of family business self-efficacy and commitment to family business and the relationship between perceived parental behavior and next-generation engagement in family firms in the context of third-generation successors. Here is our conceptual framework. Garcia, Sharma, Damasis, Wright, and Scholes proposed how parental support and psychological control can affect next-generation engagement in family firms through family business self-efficacy and commitment to family business as mediating variables. Specifically, Garcia et al. Claimed that first, all four dimensions of perceived parental support, which are instrumental assistance, career-related modeling, verbal encouragement, and emotional support, are all positively related to next-generation members' family business self-efficacy. Second, all four dimensions of perceived parental support are positively related to affective and normative commitment toward the family business, while negatively related to continuance commitment to the family business. Third, perceived psychological control is negatively related to next-generation members' family business self-efficacy. Fourth, perceived parental psychological control is negatively related to affective commitment, while positively related to normative and continuance commitment. Fifth, family business self-efficacy and effective, normative, and continuance commitment to the family business are positively related to next-generation engagement in family firms.
A pretest was conducted prior to the dissemination of survey questionnaires online. Respondents were asked to approve consent in a provided form, and these respondents were then debriefed. Using Daniel Soper's 2019 a priori sample size calculator for multiple regression, the recommended sample size is 118 participants for each generation to be surveyed. Participants must be third-generation or second-generation successors, and these participants may be undergraduate students, unemployed, or employed elsewhere. To attain the recommended sample size for each generation, a convenience and snowball sampling was the employed method. Research instrumentation devised Turner et al.'s 2003 Career-Related Parent Support Scale used for parental support, and Barber's 1996 Psychological Control Youth Self-Report used for parental psychological control. To test family business self-efficacy, a newly developed scale was used based on DeNoble et al.'s 2007 framework with Cunningham et al.'s 2007 formatting. For commitment, Dawson et al.'s 2015 revision of Allen and Mayer's Commitment to Family Business Scale was used. Finally, for next-generation engagement, a newly developed scale based on Cunningham et al.'s 2005 own scale was used. A user-friendly open-source software named Jamovi was used. This software was the platform for this research's data analysis, producing descriptive statistics, reliability analysis, mediation models, and analysis. Each generation for this research was able to meet the recommended sample size of 118. Survey resulted in a greater number of total females, female second-generation successors, and male third-generation successors. Total respondents were predominantly students, next employed elsewhere, finally unemployed. Age of participants had a minimum of 18 and a maximum of 29. All measures obtained a Cronbach's alpha of at least 0.65, which shows that the data presented are consistent and reliable. A correlation matrix was employed, and the Pearson's R value of normative commitment and parental psychological control present that these variables are the most and least correlated to next-generation engagement respectively.
Next, we will be discussing the results. So you can see on the slide the framework that showcases the relationships of the construct. It is important to note that while everything is correlated, some relationships are more significant or salient than others, and these relationships are represented by the arrows on the framework. The dotted arrows indicate a mediating relationship, while solid arrows indicate direct relationships. We will look into these relationships one by one, starting with the mediating relationships. So first, normative commitment was found to partially mediate the positive relationship between verbal encouragement and next generation engagement. This means that verbal encouragement also directly affects intention to join the business, but this effect is partly absorbed by normative commitment. This relationship can be explained by Dawson et al.'s finding that verbal encouragement can be seen as a form of external pressure, whereby successors are persuaded to conform to a particular behavior, which in this case is joining the family business. Handler also claimed that leadership interest is formed due to parental encouragement, which can contribute to the decision to engage in the family business. Next, affective commitment fully mediates the relationship between parental psychological control and next generation engagement, which means that parental control only affects engagement if it affects affective commitment first. This is also a negative relationship, which means that the more controlling a parent is, the less emotionally attached the successor will be to the business, and then decreasing that successor's intentions to join the business in the future. So this can be explained by Bean et al., where they claim that parental psychological control can cause withdrawal behaviors and internalized problems like depression in children, thus impacting their emotional attachment to the business and then decreasing their intentions to join that business. So next, let's move on to the direct relationships. So for career-related modeling, it has a significantly positive effect on family business self-efficacy. So this can be explained by because children see their parents as role models and they see how their parents work and what they achieve, they are likely to think that the same will happen to them, building their own family business self-efficacy. Verbal encouragement was also found to have a significantly positive effect on continuance commitment, which contradicts Garcia's hypothesis. But it may be that verbal encouragement is seen by successors as sufficient reward for their efforts in the business. And because they feel that they are well compensated anyway, they become more invested and think that joining the business is a safe or a practical decision. However, there are also studies that found that scale items can affect results. So specifically, if the scale items assessed employment opportunities outside of the current company, then there will be a negative effect on continuance commitment. And the opposite holds true as well. For this particular study, the scale did not assess opportunities outside the family business, so it may be that this contributed to verbal encouragement's positive effect on continuance commitment. Parental psychological control was also found to have a significantly negative effect on self-efficacy. This is because controlling behaviors can hinder growth and self-development since parents restrain and restrict their children from exploring and collecting experiences. Lastly, self-efficacy was surprisingly found to not have any significant relationships with next-generation engagement, which contradicts Garcia's hypothesis and goes against a lot of previous studies. However, there are studies that claim that this is because there are constructs that successors value more than self-efficacy. So, for example, Zellweger et al. Found that successors feel they will lose their autonomy if they join the family business. So, regardless of whether that successor feels they are capable, they will not join the business. Further analysis also revealed that sex moderates the relationship between self-efficacy and next-generation engagement, wherein for females, next-generation engagement is more affected by self-efficacy, while the same is not true for males. This can be explained by previous studies that show how incumbents actually prefer to have their male heirs succeed them compared to female heirs, even when the female heirs are proven to be more capable. The successors are probably aware of this mindset, and as such, males probably don't really focus on self-efficacy since the business will go to them anyway, or they believe that the business will go to them anyway. Whereas for females, only if they are really capable will they consider joining the business in the future. So to make results more robust and see if there are any relationships that are exclusive to the third generation successors, we also analyzed the results of second generation successors and compared these to those of the third generations. So this slide shows the results of second generation successors. So from this view, it may look like there are a lot of differences between generations. So we had both datasets go through a statistical analysis to see if there are any significant differences. For the first layer of analysis, we did a GLM mediation analysis wherein we manually compared the p-values of both generations, and we found that the main differences lie in emotional support and parental psychological control, significantly affecting the next generation engagement of second generation successors, but not third generation successors. A second and more important layer of analysis was done by using tags to filter generation. So from this analysis, no significant differences were found. Davis and Harveston said that since family businesses are rooted in family regardless of generation, then its influence remains consistent all throughout. Moreover, Parks and Robertson claimed that social events influence certain age groups. So those born in the 1960s grew up with the civil rights movement and became more open-minded, while those who grew up with the war on terror desired more stability and security. Given that the participants of this study all belong to the same age group, which is 18 to 29, regardless of generation, they were probably influenced by the same social events. So it is possible that the factors that affect their decision-making in terms of career or during the family business are largely similar. Now, because there are no significant differences between second and third generation successors, it is now possible to combine both datasets to produce a new conceptual framework. So this framework can be seen on the slide before you. So key findings from this framework are the following. Number 1, normative commitment still partially mediates the relationship between verbal encouragement and next generation engagement. 2, effective commitment now partially mediates the relationship between parental psychological control and next generation engagement. This means that parental control also directly and negatively affects your intention to join the family business. This can be explained by Bean et al., who claimed that because controlling tendencies can lead to delinquent behavior among successors, this can decrease your intentions to join the business. Lastly, effective commitment was found to be positively affected by career-related modeling and verbal encouragement. Career-related modeling can be seen as a sort of apprenticeship and a way to socialize the successors to the business, thus increasing their emotional attachment to the business. Meanwhile, verbal encouragement can be seen as a reflection of your parents' trust on your skills and abilities, which can also increase emotional attachment. The interesting thing in these findings is that these relationships only appeared when the datasets were combined. They did not surface in either the third generation or second generation framework. However, if you do look closely at the data, you can notice that for second generation, the relationship between career-related modeling and effective commitment had a p-value of 0.089, while for third generation, the relationship between verbal encouragement and effective commitment had a p-value of 0.06. So, you can see that both values are very close to 0.05, which is the assumed significant level. So it is possible that there was not enough evidence to support these relationships only because the sample size wasn't big enough when they were grouped or organized into the third and second generations. However, when they were combined, there was now enough evidence to support these claims. This then highlights the importance of obtaining a large sample size. So from these results, we observe that effective commitment and normative commitment significantly affect next generation engagement, while self-efficacy and continuous commitment do not. And we notice that both effective and normative commitment are emotional by nature. So one deals with emotional attachment and whether or not values and interests are aligned, while the other deals with feelings of gratitude, debt, obligation to the business. Meanwhile, self-efficacy and continuous commitment are more rational. Self-efficacy talks about your perception of your skills and your capabilities, while continuous commitment deals with whether this is a safe or practical decision to make. So from this, we can say that when deciding to continue the family business, successors are more emotional rather than rational in their decision making. This is supported by previous studies that show how continuous commitment had the weakest influence on turnover intentions, while effective commitment had the strongest. Murtaugh et al. Also found that women decided on their career changes based on positive emotions they associated with a job and not based on a systematic approach. So, general career satisfaction was also found to be affected by culture and values, which are more emotional, rather than compensation and benefits, which are more rational.
Family is the basic unit of society. Hence, there is a need for parents to be responsible in raising children the right way. Since parents are also considered as their children's future bosses if they choose to get into the family business, there is a need for them to adjust their parenting styles in order to encourage successors to join the family business. Some examples would be in practicing parental encouragement in the form of praise and recognition, because it can increase intentions to join the family business. An effect mediated by one's sense of obligation to the business, while parental control and manipulation can decrease it. Since businesses are focused on sustaining the longevity of it, there is a need for parents to plan the future of their business or businesses ahead by creating succession plans in order to know their potential successors. In conclusion, only certain dimensions affect intention of successors. As discussed, our data show that third-generation successors, specifically parental encouragement in the form of praise and recognition, can increase intentions to join the family business, an effect mediated by one's sense of obligation to the business. On the other hand, parental control and manipulation may decrease intentions to join the business, but only if such parental behavior affected the successor's emotional attachment to the business. Lastly, having parents as a career model and having parents use psychological control tactics can significantly affect the successor's confidence in their abilities to join the family business. The data show that self-efficacy is not the most salient factor in the family business context. The study showed that Garcia's model is only partially confirmed. For our recommendations, the researchers suggest to have longitudinal studies. This will be able to check if successors' intentions match their behavior. They may also consider conflict and the nature of the family business as a variable in testing for intention, since these are present in several family business studies. Another recommendation is to consider different generations or age groups, since the study was only focused on ages 18 to 29. Lastly, since the study was a quantitative study, it focused on depth over breadth. Therefore, in order to further understand the data better, future researchers may opt to choose a qualitative study instead.